Hey guys, so I get a lot of questions all the time about what compressor should I be using? And frankly, I think you guys are really overthinking it. It's kind of much ado about nothing. The question you have to ask yourself is how are you going to be drilling your holes and what are you going to use a compressor for to determine what size of compressor you need? Because you can get all the way down to the little 2 or 3 gallon pancakes all the way up to 100-gallon piston monsters, right? I think both of those are probably bad. One is not enough and the other one is way too much. I mean, if you have access to that kind of a thing, great. But they're really expensive. But really, I think the question you need to ask yourself first is, are you going to be drilling all of your holes pneumatic or are you going to use the cordless drill? And that's the number one thing, because if you're going to be doing bucking, I mean, obviously your bucking bar it needs compressed air. It's pneumatic. You need a compressor for that. Or if you're going to be using a squeezer, again, which I highly recommend, if you're going to have one of these, then yeah, you need a compressor, but they make manual versions of these that you just use, a manual actuation. You don't need a compressor. So I think this is still the better way though, but it's really not about this. And it's not about the bucking, it's really about the drill. So I have 3 drills right here. I've got my old faithful, really old, DeWalt corded drill. This thing, I've literally dropped it off of buildings. It still works great. I have no problem with it. It's just really old. Works fine. I have a little Ryobi drill that was a gift to me. It works fine as well. It's not quite as strong as I need it to be, especially when I'm doing the machine countersinking. This is not really the thing to do, but it works. And of course, I have a pneumatic drill. Now they make a number of pneumatic drills. This is a Husky, so it's kind of an inexpensive solution. It's not cheap, it works great, but it's a little heavy, and I'm told that there are others that are lighter. The problem with the pneumatic drill is they are very air hungry. So unlike your bucking bar or your compressor or your squeezer rather, they're not as inefficient as this is. You can fill up your tank, especially that, which over here I'll talk about in a minute. It's a 20-gallon tank. I could fill that up and use it all day long, bucking and squeezing before it needs to refill. This, however, you squeeze that trigger, 10 seconds later, the compressor is going to kick on because it's used all the air. They're really inefficient. They work fine, they're really inefficient. Now, what is the advantage of this over, say, this? Well, I would say that this has more torque. This is my experience. This seems to have more torque and is faster than this. But the air situation is a problem. First of all, this one is a little heavy. The corded drill is a little heavier, not much. And keep in mind, you're going to have a hose hanging off here. Oh, that's not night and day. This is way heavier than this. So weight, I don't know that weight is really the answer there. It's really more about what's more important to you, which one of these you're going to use. And it's really, I got off track. It's really about that. So that is a 20-gallon Husky compressor. It's a pancake compressor that I got at Home Depot or maybe Lowe's. I got it somewhere for like $120, $150, and I know you can get them at Harbor Freight for less than that. The problem with a pancake compressor like that is over time they wear out. The more often they run, the more they're going to wear out. Well, if you're using a very inefficient tool, then it's going to wear out very quickly. So you might want to, and this is the way you want to do it, then you might want to get a bigger compressor just with regards to capacity. And I would say if you know you're going to have a compressor that's going to run a lot, you don't want to get a pancake compressor, you want to get one that has piston, oiled pistons, because it's just going to last a lot longer. And keep in mind, with good tools, you can get your money back out of it. So like if you build the plane, you've bought a really expensive, nice compressor, you could probably get a lot of your money, good 70% of your money back out of it when you sell it down the road. That is not going to be worth anything down the road, just because over time, it's just going to get chewed up. Again, it was only like $120 to begin with. But that, I think, is the thing you need to answer. It's not about which compressor you should get. It's about how are you going to use it. So to sum up, I would say if you have only a small compressor, like one of those little flat pancake compressors. You know, they're like 3 or 4 gallons. I have one at home and I use it to air up my tires. If you have one of those, don't try to use this because it will be running constantly, and that will just kill it. It'll just die. If you're going to be doing a lot of this with pneumatic, I would say get the big compressor though. I'm talking in circles. I hope that answers your question. I think you're overthinking it. It's really about which tooling you're going to use. There's nothing wrong with going with pneumatic. There's nothing wrong with going electric. Which do you have? I mean, if you already have a really good electric cordless drill, which this one isn't, it's okay. It's just meant for really light duty. If you have a good cordless drill, stay with that. I mean, you don't need a pneumatic drill, and you only need a compressor for, you know, bucking or for squeezing. You don't absolutely need a pneumatic drill. Okay, hope that helps.